Okay, today we're going to take on the typical task of taking an existing program and modifying it to do something else. For you who are professional programmers, you know that about 80% of your time is modifying existing code, and about 20% of it is actually writing new code if you're lucky. So this is a spreadsheet, and it's got in it the names of various cities, the countries they're in, some other information. We'll scroll up and see what that is, but population information, great. Some region information, latitude and longitude. So this is the data. There's about 9,000 cities in this. And we have a little program that's used to process this. Sheerpower program, of course, since this is the Sheerpower channel. And here's our program. The program is pretty simple. Basically, Sheerpower has a thing called a cluster, which is where you can map information that's in spreadsheets and do other, cool things with it. But in this case, we've got the city, country, population, and geocoding in this World Cities CSV file. This line here, pretty simple. Cluster input, meaning get data from the CSV file. It has one header on it. Dump the information into World Cities. Then we're going to print out cities loaded as a literal, obviously, and then the size of this cluster, which is about 9,000 something cities. Great. Then we're going to get a line of input asking for a city to find. We're going to put a default in of some suggested city, and we're going to store the name of the city that's entered right here, entered city. Here we go. And now here's how we do a lookup. So we do a find row, which is a thing that says, given World Cities cluster, given the city column, here's the city they entered, give me back the row number. If the row number is 0, it means it wasn't found. And then if it wasn't found, we have a bunch of stuff that we do. You can see we print out city not found. We do what's called a collect cluster. We have a counter that's set at 0. We got a bunch of stuff that we do here, and then we have a for each, and we do a bunch of things there, and on and on and on. And here's our end if, right? Okay. And of course, if we did find the city row is not going to be 0, in which case we'll just print out from World Cities cluster, the city, the country, and the population. So pretty simple. But let's say that we've been told that we need to make some changes to this code right here. All of this city row equals 0. We're told to modify this code. As you can see, it's already too much code. I mean, there's a whole bunch of code in here. This should really be in its own little routine. If the city row is equal to 0, this should be in its own routine. But moving code from one place to the other can be kind of a hassle. And so Sheerpower has something really nifty for dealing with this. Oh, by the way, why is it a hassle? Because we have to deal with scoping issues. If I just take all this code and I move it, the scope's not going to be right anymore. It's not going to know about outside data. I have to somehow get that data into the routine that I'm building. I either have to pass it as a parameter, or I have to create an object where I stuff into it all of the variables that are in this program, this main routine, and I don't have time to do that. My boss wants me to get this job done. They don't care, by the way, about refactoring information. They just want me to get it done. So Sheerpower has a way to do this really rapidly, and here's what we do. So we can do that with a new kind of routine. It's called a local routine. So we highlight this information. All right, it goes all the way to here. Okay, Control X, of course, gets rid of it. We're going to say local routine, suggest a city. And then it'll be an end routine down here. And we'll paste into it all of that code. City not found, and okay, suggest a city will include the city not found. And then it'll, well, maybe it shouldn't. Let's move this code. Okay. So now what happens here? Okay, it says if city row equals 0, then we're going to do something. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to print city not found, and then we're going to say local suggest a city. So if the city is not found, we're going to do what the suggest city says to do, which does not include the repeating. Get rid of that. Go back up and repeat. So now that big mass of code now says if the city row is equal to 0, city not found, suggest a city, and then repeat the do, which is up here. Let's validate and see if that code is correct, syntactically anyhow. And it is. Great. Let's go try to run it. City defined, Los Angeles, spelled wrong. There's the city not found from over here. Here we go. We're putting out the city name, the odds that this is what you wanted by 86%. There's one in US and one in Seattle. I think it's Chile. It's suggesting now Los Angeles. I take a look at it, and there we go. All nice and pretty. Okay. So local tells suggest a city that it is to inherit all of the scoping of the routine where it's being called. So suggest a city will have access to entered city, suggested city, city row, the cluster called world cities. All of this information will be available to suggest a city, just as if suggest a city's code was all still located right here. But it's not right there anymore. It has been moved into its own routine right here. Local routine suggest a city. So for a programmer like me, it means I don't have to stop and try to figure out all of the local variables that from the above routine that need to be scoped into this particular routine. This routine has all of the scoping information from the routine that called it. And that is called a local routine, and it saves tons and tons of time.